The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today.
Welcome everyone to the 144th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And once again, we're gathered here to listen to the teachings of Mr. Keshe, as well as other knowledge seekers from around the world. And I thought it's kind of auspicious that today is the 144th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, which 144 is kind of a special number in terms of it's used in the numbers of coils in the MagRav devices and some of the other calculations with the Keshe Foundation. And we've seen a new agriculture video that was presented today, as well as another highlight that's come out recently. So I think we're ready now to hear from Mr. Keshe. I believe he's available there. Are you ready, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, thank you very much, Rick. Hello, good morning to you, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these teachings. As we all witnessed last Thursday public teaching, we saw the establishment of what we call the Earth Council to replace the world governments. In the process of past week, we have seen some positive indication from some governments in the move, in what is being put, that at least the first step has been taken in that direction. We have to see how the responses gather in the coming time. And we see how the Earth Council will represent itself in the coming weeks in taking what we call leadership to set a new way of thinking of what we call using the Keshe Foundation knowledge for bringing peace and bringing, in a way, equality to mankind. Not only to mankind, but to the whole planet, be it what we call the vertical people or the submerged people, what we call the fishes. And in the coming time, in respect to what we ignored above us between the atmosphere of this planet, the lifestyle which we have been ignorant of, but it's been as part of our life. In so many ways, we wait to see if we hear from Alex as the African representation of the Earth Council. If he is there or he's in the background, we promote him to speak on behalf of African nations, or what we call making Africa as one continent. Do you see him behind? Because he was upgrading his system to be able to have a clear line for this morning. Rick?
Not seeing him yet. Do you see him? Any sign there, Vince? I'm looking at viewers too.
Okay, he'll try to join us later on today. He sent me a small text that he could not make it, but this week he'll try to be there because he's in what we call in Nigeria, and they have some communication problems there. Somebody said, what we're going to do with this? Not much. This is going to be a pattern of life from now on as we are expanding into universal community. All members of the both councils, or the three councils, in the core team, the Universal Council or the Earth Council. The Earth has become a small place for humanity. We expand into a space, and not everyone will be reachable at all times. This is the beauty of the new technology. On the other hand, we have announced a startup of what we call the spaceship program for motions. At the moment, we are online negotiating with two governments within the next, hopefully, 2 weeks. We will see which position will give advantages for a more mass teaching aid in the structure of a government to do, and we announce where for the motions to attend. It's just a political, diplomatic move. It's out of the hand of the Keshe Foundation. You got to realize that by training the motions into space technology, we will come into the direction that more or less there is no borders, and some governments will have a problem with this. National, what you call borders, being more or less eliminated with the space technology, it creates a lot of problem for the leaders. Hopefully, within next week or so, we will complete this transition time, and we gather the what we call the motions in one place of teaching. We got to understand that the next 3 months of teaching, once they arrive, becomes part of the ethos of the work for the future teachings. Exactly the same as what we did with the Spaceship Institute teachings for 3 months of solid teaching, which I did in Trani, has become the basis of the teaching for the students in the science part of the Spaceship Institute. The whole process needs understanding that we can achieve collaboration with the governments. I have a very good idea about the site. I've visited the test site very recently, and for us it's time to prepare it, or once we agree with both governments, either governments, to announce the position. Maybe we do half in one nation and half the other place. We got to see how it plays in the next couple of weeks, and then, as we said, in the autumn of 2016, we bring it together. The process of the teaching is very rapid and very, very comprehensive. We have achieved the support of governments in this process, and this has been very big move for governments to understand there is a need collaboration unconditional in the new space era. The spaceship technology should bring mankind together, and in that process should show and set a pattern with the support of the Earth Council, how they want it to be developed. The Earth Council becomes the, what we call the path setter for the rest of the humanity, how the new spaceship technology has to be used by all the nations. So we have to set the standards. This is what we expect they use for this reason, for that reason, has to be this way. In a way, as we've done, and we showed it in the operation in the conference in Ghana, we brought the science and military on the same table, and they both understood that military becomes part of the spreading the knowledge and the new technology, and are proud to be part of it. This is the fantastic part of the whole operation. That we see, military sees a new, what I call, line of action for them. They understand very clearly, especially people of the, what I call air forces, see how crucial game they'll play in the spread of knowledge. They become a front to space technology and, in a way, with the military. And at the same time, the other parts of the military are realizing what crucial game they have to play. This is the job of the Earth Council, to bring the armies to become the peace armies in spreading the knowledge and the technology, and bringing the comfort for man. At this moment of time, we have to understand where the space technology is going. I, yesterday in the teachings with the doctors, explained something very simple. The Innovation Center has been informed of the development. They are playing with it. They start playing with it. But as we promised, we are pushing for the spaceship and a space left. Maybe next week we show you a new dimension. We hopefully be able to show you the what we call physical tangibility of the spaceship. We try to line up that you can ask questions once the system is running. That how it is, the way it is. You can feel, or at least be able to talk to the people that they have developed what I call the plasma cap, or the first stage plasma condition of the spaceship. On the other hand, as we go back to the beginning of the teachings, we have to realize a lot of things. A recap will bring us where we want to be. If you go back to very beginning of the teachings, early teachings, go back before the teaching started. Go back to the first time most of you came across the word keshetechnology.com. If you remember, and it still is on the internet somewhere, there was a Coca-Cola bottle. A lot of people looked for energy out of Coca-Cola bottle, but the energy of the Coca-Cola bottle never was understood fully by those who looked for it in a different way. If you go back to the beginning of the teaching of how everybody was looking for this Keshe secret liquid, or this plasma liquid, which now you all know is caustic. The whole commotion was on how it creates energy, how it creates nanomaterial. But as we said in most of the teachings, disintegration of the screw end of the plastic was the target. Because in the screw end, can I share a screen please? In the screw end.
Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, okay, I'm there. I'm going to expand this. In the screw end of the Coca-Cola bottle, if you remember, I'm not a very good drawer. This end has a specific characteristics that when you put the electrodes in and you put the caustic in, due to the current which these electrodes were extracting, they allowed a creation of a condition that only most of the, what we call the atomic structure of this part, because of a specific condition on certain bottles, could disintegrate, to open up. And in a way, it released what we were looking for as atomic hydrogen. In many of the teachings I explained, when a man understands the use and be able to create tritium, then man will be able to gather the full knowledge to go into space. Today, we're going to teach you how to create tritium, how to produce it, and how to use it. And first of all, you have to understand what it means having tritium in your hand. Tritium in nuclear reactors is the curse of the technology because of the radiations which it creates. Tritium as a Gans plasma is a gift to the universe. It depends how you handle, how you play. There is a difference between hydrogen 3 atoms of hydrogen and what I call tritium. You can change combination of hydrogen 3 into a tritium if you understand the process. One of the reasons Keshe Foundation was made a terrorist organization by the Belgian government, because they could not understand how easily we were creating nanomaterials, and they said using radiation and using plutonium is because of the presence of tritium. Tritium releases huge amount of energy. This is why we got involved with TEPCO. The existence of tritium, which then we show them how to convert it into gold, and then we saw subsequently monoatomic gold, is the structure of the lead of the cola bottle. Yes, we produce field strength at the gamma level, which is not harmful to man because it's in a plasmatic condition, through the lid of the Coca-Cola bottle. We are an expert in it. I'm a nuclear physicist. I know how to hide my game. And a lot of you followed it. US government, Russian government, Chinese government have spent billions trying to reach atomic hydrogen to use for atomic bomb, to use for advancement of whatever was the clandestine activities which you've seen it. But no one up to now ever considered production of the tritium. The compression on certain plastics of certain products allows the creation of tritium. It's very, very, very strange. The way CH bond of the plastic works allows you these things. If you're a chemist, you understand. As a nuclear physicist, I've been trained totally by my masters in nuclear industry in university to understand the depth of the application of interaction of the inner sanctums of an atom. That's why I'm a nuclear physicist. And for that reason, I looked into the depth of how I can have what is the essence of the creation, which is a neutron, and free it to use it, but hide it in a magic show. In line with the production of release of the disintegration of the plastic, I do create tritium, but in a plasmatic condition. If you go back to some of the recordings of the Keshe Foundation, I explained this very, very clearly. When you had the Coca-Cola bottle, and some of you followed it, I made pipes. And I gathered, I showed to the students, I gathered how to collect tritium. But I called it hydrogen. Where the electrodes are here to attract it, to pull the produced tritium up to where it should be. The content of the hydrogen hides amongst the first tank and then develops to the higher tank. The reason we use tritium as an energy, as a source of energy for a space technology, is the way the tritium comes to exist. It's the extension to the knowledge to understand that, as we say, always say it, and some of you laugh at it, is that we have an old saying in Farsi, say, whoever has a mustache is not your uncle. Because all the Iranian mans, most of them have mustache, so the half of the nation is your uncle. It's the same with the understanding of the man. Ask yourself a simple physical question. Ask and understand the process of the production of the elements as we have spoken before. Not oxygen, because it's an oxygen, is the same across the planet. Each plant, each vegetation creates and releases an oxygen of different strength according to its structure, even though we call them all oxygen. When you have a oxygen like a CO2, It means two equal in strength oxygen have managed to interlock using the carbon as an interconnector like CO2. When you have a hydrogen, 3 tritium, now you have a plasma in a matter state before it becomes a tritium. In a way, before it becomes a plasma of the tritium, the same composition. These 3 hydrogen molecules of one element are not all the same, even though they're all hydrogen. One has a slight strength connection with the other. Very, very slight connection with the other. And the other one has a slightly different connection with the other one. And then the other one has again a slight connection with the other one. So now you see the 3 hydrogens are not a copy of each other. They all have something slightly in common with each other, that the structure allows the fulfillment of the totality. So if you understood this, it becomes easy to the next step. Now you have a common denominator, energy balance between the 3, but you have 3 objects, 3 entities in a strength. One of them is the common denominator. One of the 3 is a free, and that common denominator in it, because of the structure of hydrogen, can only be one thing, the neutron in that element. Now you can see the gameplay. Now you understand how you can play and convert atomic structure, molecular structure, hydrogen, into the gas and the plasma hydrogen. Now what you in reality have is something very amazing, and in so many ways. How do I get a fresh? Okay. What you're gonna get is this. And if you go back to all the teaching, this is what you have. If you understand this, you understand the key to the operation of your system, your flight system, how to energize it, how to position it, how to travel, how to carry information. You have to set your system the same way. Now I explain to you in a very simple way how the game has changed. The sun, the earth, and your spaceship. Change the sun to another galaxy, gravitational magnetic field force. Change the earth to another galaxy. How you operate the fields within the plasma dictates if you're arriving or if you're leaving. Now you understand why In the teachings of past few months, I referred to tritium a few times. Why hydrogen is the cornerstone of any system operation in the universe. Is not so much its electron and its proton, is so much the strength of its neutron. And the neutron across the universe, this universe, according to the condition created by its central line principle, magnetic gravitational field strength is the same across the universe, in this universe. In a space travel, we look for this, but fortunately, on this planet, because of its condition, we can select it, we can separate it. There are conditions where we can see the creation of tritium hidden in the structure of the matter state, where it becomes the fuel of the future. So what you have is that you have a neutron. And this neutron can split in the position of electron and proton as it needs. So what you have what has happened to this pen? You have a proton and a neutron, which leads to the creation of the proton and the neutron, electron. And as we all know, they're all energy packs, plasmatic energy packs. So what you can do is very simple. Make accumulation of any part of this, and now you understand. Would you like hydrogen? Would you like copper? Would you like gold? But in the plasmatic condition, we don't see it as individuals, we see it as the totality of the field flow. Where this is your one hydrogen, this is the other hydrogen, and this is the other hydrogen of the tritium. And somewhere here is your copper. Somewhere here is your gold. And somewhere here is your plutonium. And the man has not found out about the other elements which exist in the higher levels yet. So what we have to understand is how to use what we always say, the matter condition physicality into the plasma condition physicality. You all have become masters in this. Most of you have literally passed this technology in such a way that it's like sitting in a high-speed train passing through the city. You've gone so fast through it that you haven't had time to look at the scenery. You haven't had time to digest where you've been through, what information has been available to you. A lot of systems gives you different combination of hydrogen 3. a lot of systems you have created CH3. In fact, all of you who've been around the plasma technology have produced tritium in the plasma state. I have made a plasma physicist, what are called nuclear plasma physicist, atomic nuclear plasma physicist out of all of you without you knowing. And you know more than most of the PhDs who call themselves nuclear physicists. But it's come to you so naturally in the process of making it that you have not gathered. Most of you are professors in this technology. You got to understand and slow down and go back and have a look what you missed. What you have gathered that now you can use, you have overlooked. A lot of you have collected and done CO2. A lot of you have done CO2. A lot of you have done CuO. A lot of you have done ZnO. And a lot of you have done CH3. And so naturally you speak about it and you show it. The students of Knowledge Seekers Institute, you've been into space technology a long time. But you have to understand how to use this. You have to understand how you can manipulate this. I always said, when one touches, it means the knowledge is already enlightened the soul of the others. One of the knowledge seekers touched, understood, and the others get enlightened. Go back in the process of production of CH3. Go back and ask yourself, how did the CH3 come to exist? How do you produce CH3? You use carbonized whatever it is, and a copper. Why your CH3 has a tint of red in it? Have you ever asked yourself? Very simple. You remember that amino acid and you hung up an iron in it, a rusty nano-coated iron, which dripped blood. There it is. Now you see, now you understand why your CH3 is the energy, and he has the energy to feed you, to give you a strength. Because it's a carbon with a hydrogen level which is in line with the amino acid and in line with iron in a strength which is the hemoglobin of the body of the man. You understood the zinc and copper nano-coated create the condition of carbon. You created a mixture. You have an iron backing. And some of the iron and the given strength with copper gives you or what I call tritium. In fact, the gas material you have is a tritium hydrogen. But because you use it in a matter state, is looks to you as a matter state of hydrogen. As I said in all my teachings, I am a magician. I'm a master of science of elements in the universe. 3 years you all been producing, but you never stood still to understand. And I took you across because till you are ready to understand the production. Now you understand. Now you understand the essence of the energy of the universe in running a space reactor has always been in your hand. If you understood, if you understand what is on this table, what is sitting here, you understand you have the essence of everlasting energy, everlasting composition of elements to give you whatever you need in the universe. You remember when we spoke with amino acid, CO2, COO2, ZNO2, we always explained the connection. Now, if you put CH3 here, now you understand very clearly the connection. How you can use CH3 as a fuel. In the teaching yesterday to the doctors, I explained this and I realized that nobody has understood. CH3 is a giver. It gives energy. These guys with oxygen, due to gravitational pull of the oxygen, are takers. This is magnetical energy source. These are gravitational energy source. So what in fact happens is that in the process of the structure, this is what you have missed. Something is happening here, I don't understand.
You need to select.
It's okay, it's back. No, it's gone very, very thick. Okay, I'm going to go back to the pen. What you have to understand is this guy is gravitational. Let's use this one. This guy is gravitational and this is magnetical. The other name you have chosen for magnetical is very simple. You call it acidic. You call this alkaline. You call this magnetical repulsion, gravitational attraction. This is why when you did the test, when you mixed the CH3 with CO2 and you achieved certain speed of rotation which create the positioning and the strength of the plasma, you had your reactors leaking water or liquid, or you lost a couple of your reactors depending how much the gravitational field inside was weaker compared to the magnetical which you added to it, which was the CH3. You created a shielding that the entity inside the middle core could not hold on to, and he disappeared. As I said, the problem with the science of present physics is the choice of words for the same entity, which has created mayhem in the world of science. We call it Coulomb's barrier. The other name for it is atmosphere. We call it gravitational. The others call it alkaline. We call it magnetical. The other call it acidic. We call it entry. We call it gravitational or a south pole. We call it exit. We call it north pole or magnetical. It's all the same word, and this choice of words has created mayhem in the brain of the man to understand the simple logic of the essence of the creation in the universe. Now, if you understood, I have given you the magic fuel which you've been looking for. You have different choices. You can carry on playing the game, or some of you who understand this can extend the knowledge to create hydrogen in tritium condition, in a plasmatic tritium. And then you can use this tritium hydrogen condition as a point of attracting fields according to the strength you need from the span of universe. For man to understand the last sentence, I'll give you 1,000 years. You will never understand it in 1,000 years fully. You scratch on the surface of it. When you understood the sentence, you have found the key to travel in all dimensions of this universe. And then if you understood the explanation of the mixture of the same element you call hydrogen, plays the same game in travel in between different universes of unicos. This is the game. Because the energy level in the central line of every universe, again, like the proton and electron and neutrons of the three hydrogen, has a common element strength. This is the key to space, deep space travel, and deep space travel across universes. Blessed are those who understand. I have given you the key to space travel. I have given you the key to the desire of the man to have whatever he needs at every point, anywhere in the universe, as hydrogen of different strength, a part of the amino acid of the body of the man. If you understand it, you will understand the totality of the creation. And for those who don't understand, it's another word in the space of the dust of this planet. Go back to the physicality of your own existence. Understand that every plant, even though it gives oxygen, gives a different level of oxygens in strength, plasmatic value. Now go in your own physicality and explain this in a deeper sense. That means the amino acid which makes the layer of a kidney has a match with a part of universe through the hydrogen link, through the neutron of that hydrogen. Then through your desire, you can through your own body create your own transportation across the universe. Now you understand. It will take you 1,000 years even to scratch the surface of this knowledge. Every position of the universe has a matching point in the physicality of the man. If the man understands it, man has conquered the universe. Then you understand, I made man in the image of myself in every point of the universe. As within me exists the existence of the center point, the totality, as a common denominator. But the point comes, how do you contain this? How do you contain plasmatic gans of hydrogen? How do you bring it to be contained? Do you need to attach it, or do you need to use it as an ignition for the others to become part of it, to convert themselves into it, and you make a decision of how much of? Containment of the gans of hydrogen is the game of universe. Those who mature to do it in a more effective way, they get access to different knowledge of the universe. And according to their intelligence, they can see the play and work of the universe. And new doors opens up to them. The containment of neutron, that it can release its totality of its essence of the universes, is the game of the man of the science of the universal community. No culture in the universe has completed it yet, and not even them understood even 2% of it. And they still, after billions of years, are in the process of unraveling it as they see more that they never understood before. The key to the success of the deep space is the manipulation of what you call neutron. The plasma of the neutron is a strength, because it's the neutron which dictates where, to your understanding, when it divides, its proton will be positioned and its electron will be positioned in the gravitational magnetic field positioning of an atom. The same is with the universe. The containment of the neutron is the game of the universe. You can produce the fields that the end product, the positioning of the fields, will give you the material you need, or in its interaction with another neutron gives you the position in the universe you want to attain. This is important. This is how you will find the first key, literally the first key for man to enter space technology in its true sense. The key is to hold on. The key is to use the common denominator. In many literatures, you speak about the hollow planet. It is correct, because it's the plasma of a neutron which holds the center. And that is nothing but the fields. It's got no tangibility. And as the fields inside it interact or reduce in strength, lead to the creation of the matters in the boundary of the whole system. You have two choices. You can produce it and then let it contain itself, or you produce it and use the knowledge you have up to now to contain it. But at the same time, you lose some to it. There is a ratio of the speed of the rotation of the fields which dictates its interaction and its position. Understand what I said? In that process, the gravitational magnetic field of the neutron, in what it allows to be emitted and what it allows to absorb, dictates the position and the shape of the entity which you travel, or you decide to travel, or you decide to use it as a home. How do you contain? How do you contain CH3 as a gas state that it appears as a plasma? The only way you can contain it, more or less, if you understand it, is by itself. You remember the copper, the nano-coated copper, and then the gans of the copper. And a lot of you put the gans of copper back on the copper, nano-coated on the copper, and you get no energy. And you see, you have a problem in producing energy and fields, and some of you do find energy because accidentally you had some CH3 somewhere in your mixture. Play the same game. Understand the containment of the plasma has to be spherical. Use what you use to create the CH3, if you understand it, or then allow hydrogen, which is in atomic condition, to become the center of its plasmatic condition, the way you put food in your mouth and it changes from matter state to the cancer state the minute it enters the body of the man. In behavior of the strength of the both gravitational magnetic field, now you dictate the mass. The reason I teach this is that I want those who understand to head in one direction. The space lift and motion, space positioning, interaction and attraction of the fields in motion from man. Total cost, a few cents. Landing on the moon, a few seconds from this planet. Fully protected, shielding, literally 1G space travel. It's the man's oysters. You convert the energy of it, what you need as food, you convert the energy of it according to the link of its carbon connected to your emotion to the matter of the desire. I wish gold in my hand, and I hold the reactor which carries a neutron power, and the other hand, which is the giver, will produce it because it gives to satisfy my soul and its emotion to have the gold. Very simple. How do you produce this and how you contain it? How do you produce atomic hydrogen, which in the process, due to the containment of what we spoke, the food in the mouth of the man, which is a containment of the what we call the Gans state, to be. Today with this teaching, I'm bringing you in line with what the Innovation Center in the Space Technology is doing. Because it's time to take off. It's time to create motion. It's time to create condition. Go back on your teachings where you remember you had a core, you put GANs in it, you see different layers, and you saw the hollow center. If you choose CH3, in the plasmatic condition, now the only thing is left, how much neutron in the shape of a plasma of the hydrogen of monoatomic length, strength, you want to release. You got to remember, the CH3 which you produced in the, what I call, where did it go? It's here. In the strength of the magnetic field has decided the condition. What this means is very simple. The CH3 is the mouth of the man, and the hydrogen you create inside becomes the matter which converts to the GANs, and it adds to the total mass of the structure. You decide where would you like it to be. You can create a pump and a tank the way we saw, I showed in a cola bottle a few minutes ago. You can go back and use the mixture material like galvanized steel as embodiment of the core, and use a nano-coated rod in the middle of the copper to produce a CH3, which instantaneously becomes, due to the choice of the CH3 within the atomic structure of the hydrogen, and you create yourself plasma of neutron. One thing which got you to remember is one thing. You remember this. And we always said, this is the hydrogen, this is the copper, this is the gold. Remember one thing you missed in the whole teaching is this. They all have a common denominator, nitrogen or neutron. That common denominator, neutron, is what is holding and is adding to the mass. And itself sits in layers, in the strength. And in that sitting in the strength in the center, this is of the hydrogen connection, this is of copper, this is of gold. And this level interaction in the strength is the creation of the motion of the plasma itself. You don't only have positrons which rotate the other way, you have the same with neutrons. If these layers in strength have one stronger or more of the other, your neutron can rotate in both ways. In centuries to come, when the man has the knowledge and say, oh, neutrons move one way or another, how did Keshe know years ago? Understanding the concept clarifies the whole knowledge. Now, for the first time, I have explained to you the creation and the essence of the center of the plasma of what you call principle strength, or what you call principle point of any structure. This is how the universe holds itself together. This is how every element becomes of the other in different strength, in different positions, in respect to the central line of the universe. Because now this structure has its own common with its galaxy, and it has its own common denominator with its universe. That is why we said in all the teaching, the common denominator, neutron, which inevitably in interaction of its fields with each other in friction leads to the creation of the hydrogen, is the essence of the creation. And now you understand how to control it, how to maintain it, how you add to it, and how you take from it. Now you understand the totality, or at least part of the totality, as a reference point for the future of the knowledge of the man. I have taken you in the deepest sanctum of the knowledge of the universe. But unfortunately, not many understand. Those of you who are from the universal community and you are from the, what I call, are knowledge seekers of the universe, are laughing your head off. Because some of you have been looking for this for millions of years, and you thought you're expert in the space travel. With these teachings, not we only elevate the soul of the man and the knowledge of the man, but we elevate the knowledge of the man of the universe and the universes. You got to understand, it's very much like alphabet. It's the same alphabet. When you write the first word, it's the same alphabet when you write your thesis as a PhD. Nothing has changed. It's the essence of the knowledge which is gained. It's the difference in the intelligence of the creature. If you understand how you mix, how you adapt, how you control, now you have the fuel of the universe. Because CH3 in your amino acid is the giver, has a connection of the carbon, which means connects with the totality. You created it out of the condition of the amino acid. So it's already conditioned to the connection of the energy with the man's emotion and the man's soul. Now you understand why we put hydrogen on top of the star formation. Because it's the giver, and if it gives strong on the top, it can absorb stronger fields from the base in the gravitational fields. Blessed are those who understand. The cornerstone of the space travel is understanding of the control of a neutron, or what you call neutron, what I call the principal plasma, which is the essence of the creation of the universe. Different portion and proportion dictates if it's going to be a neutron or a universe. But the containment and the field within both is exactly the same. Any questions?
I can remind people that are viewers, they can raise their hand if they'd like to become a panelist in order to ask a question.
How many people shall we see next week flying?
Well, Mr. Keshe, I could show one person's attempt at building something that they hope will fly. But maybe we should entertain questions here first on what the teaching is.
Do you hear a humming in the background?
Yes, a little bit. Not
Has
now.
it gone?
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's my charger on that I'm using to, I need to charge up,
Now
otherwise
it's
I
back, and then it's sort of gone
Pardon?
now. It's gone.
Yeah.
It comes and goes, yeah.
Yeah, because it depends if I connect or disconnected. My battery runs very low, otherwise I will not be able to carry on.
Is the cord that comes from it crossing over any other cords, or is it sort of separate?
No, it's separate. The minute I connected, it comes.
Maybe you can position yourself slightly differently, or position it slightly differently. It's
Yep.
good, right? It comes and goes. Every time you say it's good, it comes back.
Would you like to have a feather cage?
Yeah, that's what's required, exactly. We were just talking about that yesterday.
Mr. Keshe, can I ask
Yes?
you a question?
Who's speaking, please?
This is Lucy. Yes. We just want to confirm with you. We have some cancer patient. They want to be a volunteer to have the injection. So they want to know if they can go to Ghana or go to Italy to attend the healing.
This process is going through its what we call authorization phase, and we need a couple of more weeks to finalize it, and then we announce how it's going to be done. We have to take it through the what we call it authorization, that it can be done in certain ways, and we have millions of people who are volunteered, thousands of people who would like to receive it. It has to go through is, we don't announce where and what and how. It has already been approved for clinical trial. It's already been getting what you call is going through its test phase in different countries, and it has caused some people, we here in Norway have claimed that they can do this, and they cause themselves huge problem. You cannot make statements on behalf of the Keshe Foundation that you can cure cancer and then go through different structures. You make claims, you have to support it. We make claims, we can support it. But what we're trying to do now is to run it to go internationally through different aspects of the development of the technology. We will announce in the coming time in respect to the injections, how and the way it has to be done is prepared in a specific way. We have additional 2,000 capsules ready to be produced in the coming time, which allows us something like another 40 to 60 people to be able to use what you call the injections. But this is all is waiting for the final phase. Those who make a claim they can do it, and they would like to do it. We know a number of people have helped themselves by reversing cancer. We know doctors who are using it, and they have seen the reversal in cancer by the use of different GANs materials. But please be patient till we announce it. Then we, as we said in what you call it, in our teachings, we invite you to the nation. This needs some preparation to be done in the legal terms, that what we call, we and the Keshe Foundation and you as people are fully protected. Please do not make claims that you cannot prove. We can claim and we can prove, but we stand a different position. You use the name of the Keshe Foundation to claim what you're doing. That is your prerogative, because you are shareholders, as the Keshe Foundation is owned by every individual of you. But you have to understand, you have to be prudent in these things. We have position, we're trying to clarify that others are trying to use it to damage, but in fact what they've done has been very much in advantage, in the benefit of the foundation. We will announce, just give us time. We have to organize the way that your visas are issued. Visas we're trying to sort out that they issued on the basis of what we call medical tourism. And this needs clarification, that your nation allows you to live as a medical tourist, because we are very open about this technology. We can show its performance, we can show what we can do, but not every group and individual can do so.
But is it possible to, to use the local Chinese to do this?
No. It is very, 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 very important to explain. A lot of you are using the GANs materials. A lot of you using the different mixture of GANSes to achieve. Many of you have achieved reversal of cancer using the technology. But the injection is different. The injection is highly, highly specialized. Cannot be done. At this moment, we are producing it in a very specific, under control of scientists. It's not done as we do it ourselves. We are doing it. The Keshe Foundation members are doing it. But we are in a full collaboration. Literally every pen moved, every element moved, every connection is watched by a team of professors. Top levels professors. Because you got to understand this, the injection is extremely effective. Is extremely effective. And at the same time, it has to be produced in the way which is laid out by the scientist. Once we produce it, any doctor can inject. The production process, which is important. If you take CO2 or copper oxide, water and inject yourself, you can cause yourself huge damages. That's what you've done to yourself. There is a process, we are doing it, that's why we say you cannot digest it, you cannot use it, because of the power which it carries. We are hoping, even with the Chinese government, on my arrival in China in the coming time, that we can come to an agreement with the Chinese government officials that this can be speeded up, that the Chinese don't need to leave China to come to Ghana or other places for the process. This all depends on how the process of the, what you call, arrangement of our visit to China is done by your leadership. We can immediately submit and deliver the capsules and explain the process. The protocol is well documented for the scientific organization groups to replicate it. It cannot be done by normal man, it cannot be done in a normal place. As you heard us in the last week teaching, we have responded positively to the invitation of your government to us, the Keshe Foundation. From now on, it's in the hand of your officials how they speed it up. We transfer the full knowledge when we arrive. We have technologies which we develop in the background, but we do not release. And now the same, when we went to Ghana, we transferred the technology, availability of technology for immediate use in malaria. I develop a lot of technologies, I have developed a lot of applications, but as we say, there are horses for courses. Italians and the European nations and American nations have no interest whatsoever in malaria. They do have a huge interest because their pharmaceutical robs the third world nations, as you call it, from their wealth by selling things as malaria that they can control. It makes a lot of money for the pharmaceuticals, but they have no other interest but draining the finances from the third world nations through the disease. We have brought, when we came to Ghana, when we attended the conference, we gave it to the scientists a full solution for malaria. Not to eradicate malaria, but not only to repair the damage inside the body of the man, but create an environment that the malaria mosquito does not live in the environment where the man lives. And it's very, very simple. The explanation of the work of it very simple. You do not need to take any malaria tablets. You do not need to worry about malaria in a coming time. Because within the structure of the body of the man, we create a condition that does not suit malaria mosquito. You got to understand, malaria is one thing, but mosquito is another. Mosquitoes are the part of the chain of the food in the evolution of the planet. We cannot spray to kill, but if we do not give the environment that for the malaria to be able to lay its eggs as it needs the blood of the man or the animal, it'll have no place to live. It finds existence in other dimensions. In this process, we do not go to destroy. We accommodate in the condition what we are pleased with, we'd like to live, and those who cannot find their own positioning. This is how you don't use parasites, you don't use pesticides, you don't use anything else, because each one finds its position. We have a full technology, and our technology transfers to the Chinese public for what they need. It will be completely done when we arrive. It's a gift to your president and to your nation. Now is the time what they need, what they do. We do not ask for any financial reward. We don't ask you have to donate. We have done our work. You want to donate for what you need, you do. But on the other hand, you donate knowledge, some of you donate time, some of you donate everything else which is possible, and that has been the gift to humanity, the times you donated to develop technologies. We will release in a very short time. To set up, you have to understand. As I said, I will not take man into space without being fully equipped, that it goes as a third, or what you call as to be used. Our process is the same. In Ghana, when you enter another, what I call, not the third world nation, but equal to European communities, even better. What we saw when we went to Ghana, I saw places even better than Italy, south of Italy. Civilization, advancement of the knowledge, the structure, and everything else. We need to prepare the ground that you come to another part of the planet that is equal to where you came from. If you call yourself civilized and live in Western Europe or big cities. When you come to Italy, or when you come to Ghana, or when you come to China, for what we call as a medical tourist, we'll meet, we'll greet, we give you the accommodation equal to what you are used to. That takes time. This takes a few more days. A couple of 2 or 3 weeks, we should be there. A lot of work is getting done in the background. A lot of what you call preparation is done, is getting done. All it needs is the final pages. Then we have to go back to Ghana, to the what we call the officials in the right channels, then go to what we call diplomatic corps. That we don't want people to come in as tourists to come and then say we came here for it. You go to the embassies of the nations we announce, you go in to go to Ghana, to go to Italy, to go to China, to be processed as part of the Keshe Foundation. That's the credibility of the knowledge and technology. It just needs a few more days. We have
Thank
to
you
carry
so much.
the we have the knowledge, we have the technology, we have the material, and we offer it freely to the governments to test it. They cannot accuse, and secondly, you are doing it yourselves. A lot of people are doing in different ways. We have testimonials all over the place, people who have processed themselves through using of the understanding. This is a more powerful way of delivering it. We see the results, and data is coming up. Clinical trial on animals has shown a very rapid conversion, and I would love to say yes, but give us time. There is a lot of work is going on in 2 or 3 different nations to make this possible. There is a very big problem. There is a huge problem for authorities to refuse. It's nothing but water. It's nothing but water. This is the dilemma with pharmaceuticals. They cannot charge you $150,000 for a chemotherapy cycle from your insurance company, which they give $45,000 to the doctor who allows you to go on it. That's why there is no charges. You respect your life, you donate what you like, and if you say, I want it free, it's still there. This is how the Keshe Foundation has worked. I gave the knowledge of universe in past hour freely, worth trillions. If you were NASA, you are what you call one of these space companies who like to take you to a space for 10 seconds and then they burn themselves out and they have to put their children up for rebate. The knowledge belongs to all of us and it has to be respected, and it's free. But understand how you have to handle it. We don't say we cure cancer. We say We process cancer. Curing is job of doctors. We teach the doctors, and in our contract, they cure the patients because we have given them a title that they can cure. They know more about the knowledge of the man and their bank accounts, which one has been sitting on which side. Those of you who are not, you understood the space technology, understood everything else. You went to the seas, you made a gas of seawater, you bathed your wives and your children and yourselves, and you drank it, and whatever you did, now you don't have a cancer, and now you're teaching the others who have a lung cancer and every other cancers, and they're helping themselves. No one, no government, no authority, no organization in the world can ban natural products. If they say you cannot use CO2, if you cannot CO2, tell them please stop breathing, because you're consuming illegal material. Or stop breathing because you're giving me illegal material, you're a drug trafficker, you're producing CO2. This is the beauty of this knowledge. It goes so down to the essence of creation that no documents can be written on it. If any authority says, you say you claim this as I produce CO2 as a natural water, you drink it, you do it, whatever you like. And if you tell me it's illegal, stop breathing because you're giving me, you tell me what I do is illegal, you're breathing illegal material. You're a drug trafficker, if you understand exactly what I mean. Because you made it illegal. This technology and the way it's coming up across the world is caused mayhem. And I explained to you, even biggest institutions, international institutions, are running into a huge problem with Keshe Foundation. At the moment, in the coming time, you understand the International Atomic Authority's energy in Vienna has broken sanction. They've done sanction busting in respect to Iran. And they authorized, they implemented the sanctions through United Nations, and they broke the sanctions themselves. IEA has lost its credibility because what they preached, they have gone against it. And they have used it, they authorized this usage. So, because it's a natural product. The same goes with the health authorities. FDA cannot control this technology because it's a pure production of natural elements which is in the universe. If they can control sugar you consume, they control salt you consume, they control tea you consume, they control the rice you consume, they can control the gas of CO2 too, the gas of carbon dioxide too. It's a natural incurring material. The rice is illegal because you can make it the Chinese rice? Or is the rice illegal because you can use it in Thai rice? CO2 is a natural material. You would like to drink it. You would like to use it for space technology. You like to use it for production of material. The way we broke the control over the patent and intellectual right property to control man to use it, now it shows its effect in an effectiveness of all these structures have been put into control to make you feel rich. You saw how now they ask you to certify herbal medicines that only pharmaceuticals can do, that the others cannot practice. Now we've gone below that. There is no herb, it's the atomic structure of what you eat and you drink and you breathe. Health organizations and controlling organizations have no way to legislate this, to control it. It's our respect for the national laws which allows us to be effective. It's Just be patient with us. Let us do our job. We need a couple of more, 2 or 3 weeks more. We have to go back to Ghana with the national authorities. We have to go even to American government, because if the Americans are going to Ghana or come to China or come to Italy, I hope very soon we transfer this technology and its use into Tehran. And then what's going to happen? Americans become, what do you call it, illegal users of the medicine. They go out to get drugs and they come back in fully drugged with no disease. It has a huge implication. And at the moment is the dying man which is kicking. Just be patient with us. We welcome you to come to any of the centers in the next few days or couple of weeks. Hopefully be here from a health center unit in one of the European countries. Hopefully they will be ready to show us. But we are ready. The material for it is available. And showing that the material is not toxic is the only purpose. And the whole of the health system they are worried about. If it's toxic and it's shown, we have a data, we got the laboratory data from one of the top, more or less, 5 nations in the world, scientific labs. It's not from Africa. From now on, any documents released by the African nations will be valued more than MIT, because there is no bribery, it's a pure knowledge. It hasn't done by who's there be. I have to inform you of something which is coming back on it. All the papers which were submitted and the presentation in the Ghana Accra conference will be published as a standard brochure, as a scientific publication. So, as we said, that was the first scientific program about the Keshe Foundation conference. The papers presented, the knowledge presented will be in a standard form presentation of the conference papers, and soon will be, once the Ghanaians do their job, finish it. In my last communication with Benjamin, I asked him to start making the, what I call, the dossier for the first conference that is ready before the next conference in Rome. We teach it, we publish it, we do our own conferences, and others can understand it. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, this is Ali. In one of your previous teachings, you draw a diagram where you showed how to create a motorless system using a maggraph coil and 3 basically dots of ganses. And Rick, if I can share my screen.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So this is basically, you said that if we have a maggraph coil, in the middle of the fields, if we use, let's say, 3 kind of ganses, and 1 at the top, you can create a motorless system where these fields will rotate. And you're talking about also the hydrogen, how to contain hydrogen. How would containment of hydrogen in this system would come up? Because like on the top, I did put the hemoglobin gas, so there's CH3 there. So I need a bit of your input to understand how we can make this fly.
Your problem with your cups is that they're open.
Okay.
You have to be able to encapsulate the whole sphere, the whole plasma. Our guys in the Innovation Center have started this process the past few days. But it's so, we usually keep things to develop and then we explain, but this is so radical and important that it cannot be done that way. That's why I brought it up into the teaching. In essence, you have, let me tell you what I've taught the knowledge. You're there, Ali.
Yes.
Go back in your teachings, in your understanding. How do you produce hydrogen?
I used aluminum and caustic to produce hydrogen, but we can use CH3 with iron and copper as well, or zinc.
In the process of using aluminum and caustic, how are you going to encapsulate or control the caustic or the hydrogen?
There should be a rotation, and in that rotation, the hydrogen will go in the center, and it will light up. So, if we can create an initial rotation, and then feed hydrogen in, and while it's rotating in the vacuum in the center, that can remain there and auto activate. I mean, it will continue there.
Okay, stay there. Brennan, are you there in the background? Brennan? Do you see Brennan anywhere?
I don't see Renan there as his usual name. Let's have a look at the viewers.
But you have Vince, Verne.
I don't see Vernie in here as well. Oh, there's Vernie. Maybe.
I'm here.
Hi, Vernie.
Vernie, do you have access to the big pictures of the latest core?
Yeah, let me check on that. Why can't share?
The condition of the transfer of the hydrogen you can do very directly by using the containment. But the process is, can I share a screen, please?
Yes.
Okay. Share a screen. If you look at the structure, somehow I have punched this thing again. Okay. Somehow it's connecting to each other. When you add the hydrogen in the center, the GaNs of CH3, it becomes a containment for the hydrogen. This GaNs, because of its blanketing, changes the composition of the hydrogen from a gas into the GaNs of hydrogen. Now, the hydrogen behaves as a plasmatic condition. This is what we explained 2 years ago, when Arman was playing with and creating huge amount of hydrogen bubbles. And I told him this is dangerous. And then if you understand the reason, I explained to him later on. If you get this hydrogen, one of its molecules first, when it changes into the atomic and then to the GaNs and then the plasma of the hydrogen, that's why we call it the GaNs. At the strength of the amino acid, which has the strength in it of the soul of the man, then you can interfere with the soul of the man. This is why it's crucial to understand the process. This is why we play with CH3. And what happens here now, because this center field has become of the GaNs of the hydrogen, in a one single plasma, the CH3 here converts to tritium. Behaviors as the plasma of tritium. Because now he has a common denominator to put it in. And then what happens? What are you going to be left actually in this environment is very simple. All you have left here is this, a layer of carbon in the gas state. The hydrogen, which comes from the tritium section of the CH3, now becomes the second layer to the first layer, which is here. Now you understand the left position. You have to produce enough hydrogen in a monoatomic gas here that in strength, some of it finds the Earth gravitational magnetic field strength, and then left is one way. Now I told you, when you go to the hydrogen level, this is the output. Till you do not get the right rotation, till you do not get the right composition of the hydrogen in the strength, till you do not get the actual, what we call the blue part here is containing this. Now this is a containment for this one. So you have achieved the Caroline core and outer core at the same time. The boundary level is only on the field strength, and this is what you're going to get. Two core condition, but totally in a plasma condition. Because the speed of the rotation comes into it, every RPM has a voltage value in a plasmatic condition. When you go to 10,000, you create the voltage value of that. For your power production, this is all you need to do. Here is a higher order, here is a lower order, here is magnetically high, here is gravitationally high. If you can tap into it, you have yourself 1 megawatt power unit. 10 megawatt power unit, depends what your desire is. You call it earthing. Earthing is to find out the minimum common denominator plasmatic gravitational field on a gravitational strength compared to the maximum of the magnetic or gravitational magnetic field. Because both going in and going out have both. You have to find the minimum common denominator, what goes in, and the highest, which is coming out on the top. That's why when you mix the CH3 with what you call CO2 and you rotate at given speed, you'll find the interaction, because that given speed creates the potential difference for the separation of the two and the creation of the cell. That's why it's important. You need high RPMs with the containers. That's why you find neutron stars are higher speed rotating. The speed of the rotation of the system dictates in many ways its gravitational magnetic field strength, because this is at the speed I'm prepared to release so much energy. You do this in a physical term. You put water in a full container and you start spinning it. At the given speed, of rotation, so much of the liquid will come out of the container, splashes out. It's the same process. It's exactly the same process. Now you understand the relationship. Now you understand the process, how things work. You can do, because it's the easiest way. The ones on the space side have moved on further in this. Another innovation group is just touching on it. In a deep space testing, I know some of the Chinese have achieved things, but they don't see it. So because they don't see it, they don't understand it, but they see some of the effects. By the way, Lisa, if you're online, is anybody online from the new lab opening in Shenzhen who can share with us the pictures of the new center? Anyone from the Chinese community online? From the center who can share some pictures with us? Hello?
Mr. Keshe, which kind of picture you want?
The new center which is opening up in Shenzhen.
Oh,
They
you mean
moved the
in Shenzhen, right? The Shenzhen lab. You mean the picture of Shenzhen lab?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't say, but I can ask them in Chinese so that maybe people can send the picture to me.
Please do so. Okay. Yeah, please.
OK， 所以现在中国的这个知识寻求者，刚才凯斯先生在问 Lisa 在吗？他想要我们这边展示一下新的深圳的实验室的照片，就是已经搬家了，所以请哪位有这个照片的朋友呢上来分享一下，感谢。OK, I just announced it.
Thank you very much. Because I've got them, I tried to send them to. Just wait 1 second. Rick, can you go onto your WhatsApp? I lost the connection. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was very strange. Let me retry. I'm going to send you some pictures from the center in the new lab which is opened up. They have achieved a marvelous position in their work. Can somebody explain to me on the Chinese group, what is the 4+1 you keep on sending on? Hello? Anybody from the Chinese group can explain this to us?
Sorry, I don't know what you mean 4+1. So you are.
There are people who are posting and sending things out as 4+1 to us on a different channels. From only it's coming out of China, and I want to know what does it mean 4+1.
Sorry, I didn't heard about it, but I can ask in Chinese. 所有就是中国的朋友们，他是凯先生想问说，就是你们发给他一些有关4+1的这个是什么？他想请知道的朋友可以来解释一下。OK.
Thank you very much.
I've got the a picture of the CH3 and hydrogen core reactor that was just being discussed from Bernie.
Yeah, just 1 second, Rick. I'm going to send you these pictures and then we go back to it, because this is very nice. Then this is a new development in China. Chinese Keshe foundations. There we are. I found you. If I can share pictures with you. Somehow I can't download the pictures. I'll put it on save, but it doesn't save. How can I save a picture and it doesn't save? Can somebody tell me?
It is saved. You will find all the snapshots in the certain folder later on.
Yeah, but I cannot see it. How? Cancel camera.
It doesn't ask for the file name because it sets the file name automatically.
No, it just says save photo, and I say yes, and just doesn't save it. Anyway, if the people from the Chinese group are there with the pictures which they have sent us, you can forward it. We can see. Let me see something. Just no, it's not saving it in any shape or form. And we can show. No. No.
Mr. Keshe, I already got the picture of the Shenzhen new lab, so I can share the screen from my side.
Please? Yes, please. You can share.
Okay.
Rick, could you allow her to share, please? I stop sharing. Okay, you can share.
Yeah, but I need to save in my notebook first, so just wait for 1 minute.
Okay, no problem, because I cannot copy it down. It's a beautiful center. Congratulations to all of you in what you have achieved.
Yes, it looks great.
I like that plant with their hat.
Ah. So during the meantime, I would like to ask you a question. We already sent for the doctor program, already sent about 20 application information to Dr. Klaus, I think. And so is that possible that you will have a special Chinese doctor teaching for us?
We're trying not to do that. We're trying to bring everyone into one. In a way, if Chinese doctors want to join into the main medical teaching on Wednesday afternoons, and bring a translator with you, it'll be the most convenient. Because then we learn from all the cultures, different applications.
Okay.
We have to do that, otherwise then we have to do for the French medical and then the Spanish. That's why we said, we know there is another group of huge number of alternative Chinese doctors who want to join, but most of them or none of them speaks any English. We can allow the group, as a group, when they say, the group tells us that they want to join in to the medical teaching, and but you have to bring a translator in to translate in the background the way you do most of these teachings. And it cannot be somebody just coming in and translating, and then we don't get a feedback what the Chinese doctors have achieved using the technology.
Yeah, we understand. That's great.
Dr. Klaus, would you like to tell us what's the status with this? Hello, is Dr. Klaus in the background?
You mean the status of the doctors at the medical teaching?
What's the position with the Chinese doctors who want?
We have a number of applications of the TCM doctors, which we have a look at it. And concerning the teaching, as you mentioned, we were waiting for the decision whether we have own teaching for Chinese or we will integrate it in the medical teaching now. But there are also Chinese doctors applying now, and they're bringing their own translator with them.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to find a solution with the certificates. And
I think it has to be the same. They have to bring their translators, then we can all learn.
Yeah. For instance, Mr. Keshe, with the Italian doctors, it works very well because we have Stefania to translate it to Italian language. And they meet then afterwards and have again a look at the translated version of the medical teaching. And if there are some questions, they ask it then the next time of the medical teaching.
Uh-huh. And so the Chinese should fall in the same category.
It would be a possibility, because live translating is always a problem, also seen from the technical point of view. So we just experienced with the Italian doctors that this is a great way for just translating a medical teaching into Italian language, and then the doctors meet again, have a look at it again in their language, or read it through, read the text, the PDF, and come back with questions the next time. This would be one possibility.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Klaas. Lisa, would you like to share the pictures if you manage to download?
I'm Ruthie. Yeah, I already can share now, so I'll share.
Please go ahead.
So can you see it?
Yes.
This is the location of the lab here. It's in Shenzhen, and nearby a subway, Honglang Bay. And you can see this is the R&D center. And this is the production center. And this is how the production begins. And this is the nano-coated copper workshop. And this is, yeah, also nano-coated copper. And this is the dealing with the water. I mean, they will purify the water first. And this is a stock house. And this is an outside building of this new library. And this is a experiment and exhibition hall. Yeah. And this is for the study and the communication, this classroom. And this is meeting room. This is against production room. I remember it's about 900 square meters for this new building, I think. Yeah, so that.
Very
That's all the pictures. Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you indeed.
But I would rather have some other things want to show to you because we send Rick for this question, and I think maybe it's a chance you can also answer us the question. This is nickel. And some of the laboratory, they use the nano-coated nickel to produce CO2 gas. Although Carolina had the transfer your message that we should use nano-coated copper to make CO2 gas, but we would rather you explaining in more details, because some people, they had the test result. I mean, from for the gas they had made out from nano-coated nickel and with the zinc, and they think the test the curve looks the same, and so they think it's the same, and even the gas looks more beautiful.
You still produce CO2 if you use nickel and zinc plate, because part of the spectrum of the isotopes of nickel will fall into that category of creating, but it's not the same CO2 as we do.
Okay. So it's
so you still produce what you call the GANs of CO2. You still produce, but you don't produce the what do you call it? It's a different strength as the what you call the CO2 of the what we use with the copper.
Okay.
You can use any elements. You can use any combination of elements that the atomic mass difference is carbon. It's not just that the copper is the only thing, but nickel is hard for a lot of people to reach. Copper can be done in any household. Do you understand?
Okay, but so it's maybe dangerous for people to drink the gas water out of the nickel or titanium or something to make the CO2 gas, right?
Pardon?
I mean, is it to be dangerous to drink the gas water, which is made out of the nano-coated nickel or nano-coated titanium with the zinc?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because you told us the strength of the field is different. But if
yes,
I mean,
but as I said, not all the hydrogens are the same. Not all the oxygen are the same. So you produce CO2, but not of the same strength as you do with the copper, and not the same strength as you do with nickel. You can use, for example, let's say, for reference sake, you can use aluminium and potassium to produce CO2 too, if you find the right isotopes. We don't produce the CO2. We create the condition of the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the carbon.
oh.
This is the difference with the technology. We don't go to produce. In between the two plates, if the difference in the gravitational magnetic field, the strength, is the strength of the copper, then you attract copper. You understand? If the strength is, we've seen it with Peter's work in Austria. If you create a gravitational field, the strength that is of zinc, you produce zinc. But if you don't put it in the salt, if you do it in the salt water, most probably you get a zinc oxide. If you take the salt water out and do it in the plain paper, we see what we saw with Peter. You collect the matter state, because now you dictated you want in the matter state of the matter. If you can put a zinc plate and a copper nano-coated plate or any other material in a position that they are not in the salt water, but they're in the medium of the air, you will collect solid carbon from the floor. Pure carbon, not carbon oxide.
Yes,
So
I
you
know
create
that.
a magnet of the field. So they can use nickel or anything else, but the nickel with the what you call zinc plate, it's some of the isotopes are creating the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the carbon. So you create but your CO2 created by nickel is not the same strength as the CO2 created by the copper and zinc. You understand?
Yes, yeah, I understand that. But is it also have the same effective to use it into the medicine or something like that? No.
No. One could be stronger than the other, because now you most probably use a higher strength carbon. This is the thing which we have to learn. The carbon produced, the CO2 produced from the nickel is most probably much stronger carbon level strength in the spectrum of the plasma than the one which is from the copper. Even though you still get CO2, now this carbon gravitational magnetic field, because it's stronger, it attracts to itself most probably lower order oxygens to balance itself out, to be able to stand the environment of the salt, because you cannot change that. Or in some cases might be reverse. So it is gravitational in totality gravitational magnetic field of CO2, but of different strength.
Yeah, but if people drink that kind of gas water, is it
yeah,
well?
Okay. No, yeah, okay. Let me tell you something else. If you go that, let's say CO2, which you do with copper, because it's connected to the, what I call, to the zinc, touches the systems in the body of the man which are connected with the neurosystem. When you change it to a CO2 from nickel, it could only apply to part of the neurosystem which have the nickel magnetic field strength, which is the higher order. So it can have a higher effect in one sense or the other. It does not touch those which are from the CO2 of the copper, because the two have to match. You might see a better results with nickel for Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's needs a higher potential, what do you call it, zinc level, because you are not using the same zinc isotope in the same plate when you use a copper or when you use the nickel. And then this is what you have to learn, to use different materials for different strength for different diseases. You can do that. But it might help in, let's say, with Alzheimer, but they'll do nothing with the emotional depression, because everything has its own strength field. I can produce carbon from the materials which you see no relevance to each other, but the field of strength in the center is of the hydrogen, what they call as a carbon, which matches the amino acid. The minute you get the amino acid on the top, the field strength of the carbon is dictated, and it's a different amino acid, not all the same.
Yeah,
Am I
thank you
clear?
so much. Yeah, that's clear, very clear, and I'm excited to know that. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
but
also
you got to remember, you now with what you brought on table, you have a selection of the CO2s by different materials. And if you look at even the colors, they should be slightly different.
thank you. I think a lot of the Chinese library, they learned a lot from this, and that's quite good.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
I bet this is Paul from Togo.
Yeah.
Hi, Paul. Does
Hi.
anybody see Alex in the background yet? Has he appeared anywhere? Rick?
No, I'm not seeing him in the panelists at this point, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, no problem.
Miss, can I go? I want to say something. I want to share something.
What do you want to share?
There is 3 subjects. We want to share something about mangroves. The second is about glycemia process of treatments. And the third one will be for the other reports.
What report? Can you tell me what report?
AIDS.
The AIDS. Can we see the AIDS report? I'll be interested in that one. What is the position now with the couple?
Yeah, the position is now very well about around the world, I can say. About the first one that we have started here, the lady still going very, very well. She didn't get any disease, no go more in hospital. And the last report that we get, I have sent to you. It remaining one now. It was remaining 2 reports from the lady. Now yesterday I get 1 report, and it remaining another one. The problem is they have centralized all the, what I can say, the patients of AIDS in Togo in one software where they control them. And the hospital, some hospital where we can get some reports sometimes is connected each other, so that when one of the patients comes, they can know that it is one patient of AIDS, and this case is making late the report, and we are every time changing the strategy to get the reports. But for the housebound, it is effective. And around the world, sorry, sometime I make some mistake by sending you some reports in the Gmail. I should send it by spaceship email. I have understand it. That's why sometimes you say that you don't
Stop. What do we see in the report from the lady in respect to the AIDS case which she has?
Please?
What's the position now? The report from the doctors in respect.
Okay, so she make again the exams before we started the treatment. She got like 12 diseases and another 5 more problem for the health. And when we started the treatment, and according to the report that we have got from the doctor, only remaining now 3-1. It meaning that 12 plus 5, 17. Now we get now 3 disease from the lady that we have to shoot out. So I still, the problem is translator. So I go to the professional translator to get the real translating for you. Otherwise,
what was the results of the second doctor which you were supposed to take care to do independent valuation?
Yeah, the report that we have sent to you is from this second doctor. Is not for the first one.
Right.
The first one no give
what
any.
does it say? Has the AIDS diminished? Has it disappeared? Has it resolved, or is it still there from the second doctor?
For the second daughter, for the husband, the head is cured, totally cured. For the lady, we have got a diminution, and it remaining the last report from the test of head. This one was the problem. And for the lady, I am talking that before we start, she got 12 diseases, 12 kind of diseases plus 5-1. And now, according to the report that we have got, only 3 remaining. It meaning that we have put out 14 diseases out. So this is the state now.
But what I want to understand, the 3 left, is HIV one of them?
The 3-1 I have to translate it and let you know what they make what you call abbreviation. So this abbreviation is difficult for me to understand which one. So I am going to another doctor just to get information about the behaviors of these diseases and know how I will process.
Okay, no problem. So what is the next thing you want to tell us?
The next thing is about mangroves. We have make some implemented about the mangrove, and for our first mangrove, I will show it directly from here. We get 80% of reduction in the first week. And at the end of the week, we get 95% of reduction. And we build another one who give instantly 96.5%. So you will see all this type of mangrove and the way that.
Pardon, can you repeat that again, please?
I say for the first mangrove that we have we make twins mangrove, one connected to each another one, and we get for the first week 80% of reduction when we start use it, and the end of the week we get 95% of reduction, and then we decide to go.
Can you show us your system, please?
Yeah, I make on my camera. Please, can I show it? Can you allow me to make on my camera?
Yes, there might be something special I have to do here. Just a second. Okay, thank you, Vince.
So
What are we?
okay. So this is the first twist McGraw that we have. Sorry. So this is the first twins McGraw that we have make, which give with 3 capacitor for 1 McGraw, 3 capacitor for another McGraw, and we get 95% reduction. So this one start to give us 80% of reduction in the first time, and end of the week we get 95% of reduction. So the way that we make is very easy. You can see here.
Excuse me, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there immediately. And that is, send the blueprint of this to Webmaster.
Yeah.
We copy it and then we confirm it, because we've seen people showing this and then they have problems with it. What I want to do, I stop. You have? Can you stop this, Rick, please? Send the blueprint of what you do. From now on, we don't let people just come and show what they want to show. We check it. We check reference, check it, that we have no problem. It can be replicated and it shows. Because a lot of people who are showing these things are using miswiring and other things in different parts of the world, and we check it. We don't allow these things to. I respect what you're showing, but you have to send.
I have already sent it like a testimonial on the website.
Our testimonial doesn't count, because we see things and we are very, very important. This is very, very important for us.
Okay.
Okay. And I want to see exactly what it is.
And
I want to see exactly. No. This is not just for you, Paul. This is for everybody else. Anyone who shows the system, we double check, or we run a copy run. If we can replicate it and then we see the results, we will show you. We'll bring you in to show, because in different part of the world, different phase connections gives this kind of some of these results, but in fact the connection cannot be correct. So I send your blueprint to what do you call it, the Innovation Center, or you send it to the
Webmaster you mentioned before.
Yes, and we run a copy of it, because we had this. A few people have shown this. When we test it, it doesn't happen, and then when we check their system, there is a malfunctioning in the system. So we don't allow this to happen anymore. Yeah.
Mr. Keshe, I want to.
You might post it. Listen, Paul.
Yeah.
I respect that. You must have done correct or whatever. It shows a reduction. But we would like to check it before we go public with it. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
And I have some suggestion. If I can send unit directly to you and send the material that I have used.
Send everything to webmaster, and the webmaster will send it to the people who are to evaluate it, and then we get it back. And if they say yes, it is, because we notice a lot of people are different processes. We're trying to bring some. You might do something in your YouTube, or some people do in their Facebooks or whatever. You can share. People can test, but when we show it in the teachings, in public teachings, has to be 100% correct. We can test it.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I have some question, Mr. Keshe. That was most important for us about this process. That's why I was showing to ask some question. If you can allow me to ask this question, it will be very important for us. Just a question to get enlightenment about this.
What do you mean?
We have used some kind of guns to mix and spray on we use these three type of guns: CH3, CO, and CO2. And we have make another one type of guns, and I will like to know about these the structure of these guns. That was the most important for us, and the way that we have a make capacitor. I will like to get enlightenment. That was why I was motivated to show you and get explanation about this one.
Yeah.
So, please, can I show the bottle of these guns?
What is the guns, please?
The color of these guns is blue.
No. What is it? Where is it from? What is it?
We use nano-coated wire and the sheets. I don't know if you know the sheets.
No, I don't know.
I have one piece of this sheet here that I can show it.
Please share.
Okay.
What are you doing? Can you explain to us? Because you usually come on and present a lot of things, and then we don't understand half of it. What are you trying to do? What have you produced, or what are you trying to achieve?
Okay, I take sheet plates and I connected with the nanocore.
Sheet plates of what material is the sheet made of?
Normally, the sheet plates, according to the proprietor that we get, should be the zinc.
Okay.
But the result we are getting with this is not confirming that it is the zinc. Because when we use some zinc plates that we get from the gift of Jackie, on the same process, the result is different. So that's why I want to ask questions about this and know about the property of these guns. And when you see these guns, we didn't get what you call the compact guns at the down of the bottle. But
I don't understand what you're trying to tell us at all.
Yeah, please, if I can share, you can see what I am.
You got the share. You're sharing.
I have to.
Camera.
I have.
Yeah, but we got to see what is here.
Yeah.
What
If
I would
I
like
can-
you to do, Paul, can you make a video of this and send it to Rick and we show it next time?
Okay, I can make. So this was the gas.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you indeed. Thank
Okay, thanks, Paul. You can send that to me in the usual way there from the other things. Okay, shall we carry on? How are you doing there, Mr. Keshe? Do we still have Mr. Keshe? I think you're muted, Mr. Keshe, or maybe your microphone is off. Oh, okay.
Rick, once Mr. Keshe comes back, would you be able to show the CH3 reactor if you have the picture?
I have the picture and I've been waiting for that, but it's hard to find an opening here. There's also about 6 other people with questions and things as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, I would like to get that in. Maybe it's a good time. But I want to make sure it's okay with Mr. Keshe first. He did mention it before and wanted it shown. So, but then I suggested.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. Would you like to show that reactor that we had up before that Vernie was going to send the picture for and you wanted to show?
Yes, please.
Okay, we can do that then. And let me just share the screen. There we go.
Yeah. Would you like to explain with this, please, Vernie, the picture?
Yes, Keshe. That's a ball.
Hello.
Ball. Yes, Mr. Keshe. Hello.
Is Vernie online?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You must have your. Oh, you probably can't hear me either. Can you hear me, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I can.
Oh, well, Vernie, you should be able to hear Vernie in the background too, then.
No.
Hello.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Okay, Vernie. Could you explain to us the structure, please?
The bigger ball that you see that has a brown tint color, that's the CH3 inside. There is also an inner ball there where the motor on top is attached to. This ball is the inner ball is connected to this motor. When the motor rotates, the ball inside the smaller ball will also rotate. The CH3 outside is what confines the inner ball, and we have aluminum foil and caustic material that inside these balls, which when they reacted will produce the hydrogen. During the test, it produces gas and it heats up, and at first it wobbles. That later on, it has a stable rotation, a smooth rotation. That's our latest findings for this one.
Have you done a field detection on it? The expansion of the field?
Not yet, Mr. Keshe. They are still observing the last time we reported for this.
Thank you very much. The process of the shielding is that you need both reactors to be in rotation, that you get the contra rotation and you get the gravitational field pull. What it is, what this structure is, can I share, please, if you stop, Bernie? What the process in this, what the process is here is as follows. You have a core which has GANs of CH3, and inside it you will find a very thin layer of, for example, aluminium, somewhere here. And then we have a second reactor here, which again has the same proposition. It has a CH3, and with it, it has a GANs of aluminium. But at the interface here, you have field of tritium, and you have a field of tritium here. At the moment with this test, this tritium is in rotation in this direction. If I'm correct, we asked it to be anti-clockwise. If we get this one rotated this way, at the moment it's stationary in the outer core, the interaction of the field strength between this tritium layer and this tritium layer will create lift. But the speed of the rotation has to be that these two can link to interact, and then the totality will create a field somewhere here which will interact with the Earth gravitational magnetic field with the, what we call the neutron center of the planet. Because now you have detached from the matter content of the environment. You deal directly, in fact, if you look at it, it's double core here, and you have a double core of the Earth, all in more or less neutron level, interacting and positioning. Earth gravitational magnetic field of the tritium, because of its Joule mass, is higher, ours is lower, so dictates the position. These systems you have to push to a limit, produce so much of the tritium or the hydrogen or the neutron that becomes some of it of the strength level of the matter state of the plasma of the neutron of the center of the planet, and then you get a response. This is not the inertia, this is magnetic gravitational position. Then you can create the condition of other materials on each position on the planet, then it dictates your position where you want to travel to. You get attracted or repelled from. Then you mix the magnetic gravitational of the plasma and of the what we call matter state, the inertia, and then it's the inertia which dictates where you're going to be positioned in respect to the planet. This is what I explained to our team in Manila very recently. Once you make a scene, make a GANs of the matter states of, let's say, an island in Philippines, you will not be able to use it in the United States. If you create a gravitational magnetic of the inertia matter state of the given position of a destination, then you'll be attracted to it. That's how you travel if you want to travel in that condition over the surface, or from one point to another on the surface of this planet. This is how birds track themselves back to where they are. And they land exactly to the right place, same branch, doesn't matter if the tree has grown 10 feet tall or is still at the same height. And it doesn't matter what the weather is. There's a specific way of formation that they take the total strength across. And it's always constant. Because reference point is the center of the planet. Nitrogen, oh sorry, neutron strength level. This is those of you who, as I explained in all the teaching, achieve the plasmatic condition of the GANs of the hydrogen. And now you use the CH3 in that condition. Now if you understand, CH3 here in this layer is, let me just choose a color that I can show. If I use gray, would it be clear? The GANs material of the CH3 here now is not only is here in the tritium condition, now is enforced by this itself to create an tritium. I explained to the Innovation Center, I explained to you that if you, any of you have these cores and you can play with it and you can go, you have to pass the 7 speed. You know the electromagnetic field of the Earth. A lot of you know. Then you can understand the speed of rotation which you need to create lift above or below it. A lot of you are knowledgeable in that field of strength. This is the key. Now you have to mass produce. So in 1 centimeter diameter, if you put, let's say 10 gram of aluminium, for example, and 5 gram of CH3, in the other one you can't do double because it's by order of magnitude. It's very thin. So you go by order of magnitude in the size of the sphere. Further up you go, for example, in the outer core 100 gram and 50. Or that is actually, if you look at it, is 10 to the 2. Here is 25, sorry. You go by order of magnitude till you find the right mass motion and the right speed of rotation, and your system flies. This, you don't need any other elements. You don't need to look for copper, the zinc, or whatever. But you have enough experience to understand how to produce this. One of the easiest way, because this planet is made of what we call mainly of metallic structure, is something like brass GANs or brass structure in caustic with CH3 to, if you can, you got to see on the composition of the material what is available. You have maybe to add certain amount of oxygen absorption from the process of the caustic, then you'll find immediate lift. Literally immediate. A lot of you. This is what happened in the core, which we saw people reporting their cores gone missing. If you understood now, you concentrate on the hydrogen production, a lot of your cores goes missing unless you find out how to control it. Don't forget, you have chosen the carbon, which means you can connect it with your emotion. the whole process is more or less going to the extremes, but it's not extremes for you, it's extreme to understand it. We can place the system inside anybody's. Could be a craft, could be a ship, could be a car. It will find its position and its place. It's very, very simple. Now that you understand this, it's very, very simple. It's been in all the teachings, and I referred to it a few weeks ago. And some people understood, some people understand, and some people can see it, how it's done. This is the first time ever you have managed to create a hydrogen gas, which is a total plasma itself. Is the because of its structure, the neutron stays in the center because of its strength. The electron and the protons dissipate into the boundary, and now you achieve a total neutron plasma condition. The speed of the rotation gives the strength difference in transfer, and you can fly. In the more advanced systems, if you understand it, you can create a secondary pole on each one. If you can do it, in the future man will achieve it, then in position of these two, you dictate the what you call the positioning of the flight. Any other question?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. This is Danny from Ireland. I'm coming more from a housewife's angle here, trying to follow the teachings. And
you mean you're a homemaker?
Yes, thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Very, very important job.
Thank you. When we were speaking about tritium, I was wondering, when we made our cold caustic and threw in the Coca-Cola bottlenecks and a bit of aluminium foil, have we kind of partly produced tritium in a plasma state or in a GaN state?
You have produced atomic hydrogen in a gaseous state. You haven't produced tritium. The production of the tritium comes by encapsulation of CH3. It's in your nanomaterials you produce in the Coca-Cola bottle, you produce it because of the nano layer. Do you understand?
Not fully. I think I have to let that sink in now.
Okay, let me explain to you something very interesting. This goes back into atomic nuclear physics, and we're all clever enough to understand this nowadays. Again, go back into the structure of the Coca-Cola bottle. I do it this way because most of you remember it this way. This is the structure of the Coca-Cola bottle. Yeah, you have a CH bond, which at the similar strength does this job. You have to understand what I use is a copper, what I call parachutes, we used to call it. This copper itself has a spectrum of the fields, which one of them is zinc in it as well. And this is one of the isotopes in the structure, which in the strength, if you look at the zinc, has a common isotope and strength in the same. So what you have done in the caustics here, without the aluminum or with aluminum, you have a creation, you have created a condition of both let's say this has a zinc, but this one doesn't. So in the plasmatic condition, you have created a condition of the CO2, creation of the carbon, which attracts this carbon and in a chain releases hydrogen. Some of the hydrogens are bounded as triple hydrogen, or what we call, then it becomes what do you call it, tritium. When you put the aluminium in, you produce hydrogen which now interacts with this. You have to understand the full spectrum of the knowledge in atomic nuclear physics. When you say copper, is not just copper one isotope. Even if it says 99.9999% pure copper, it means it's pure from other elements, not from the total isotope range of the copper. And in that isotope range of the copper, there is something which links with the zinc. So in that process, this becomes your electrode. Exactly like in your salt water. So now this creates a carbon gravitational field, which this carbon gravitational magnetic field pulls the carbon from the plastic. Now you have the hydrogen free. And in the structure, atomic structure, some of them add up to CH3. And now, as a molecule, they're in a gas, in the transformation or the pull, as it's trying to become what you call CO2, with a lack of oxygen within the confinement, releases the what you call the CH3 or the surplus hydrogen plasma in atomic structure of tritium. Very, very small amount, but very effectively can be used. When you put aluminium foil in this Coca-Cola bottle, now you make the ratio of the hydrogen in respect to the carbon so high that they cannot become a CH3 attachment. So you have a huge amount of what you call hydrogen plasmatic condition, traveling through a nanostructure, which means they cannot link up to, because the minute you put a caustic in the bottle, you have nano-coated the bottle. So you are working in a total gas state condition. The minute you shake the Coca-Cola bottle to start the paste process, or when you put the caustic in it, you have nano-coated. In the environment inside the bottle is totally plasmatic, absolutely plasmatic. And also your hydrogen does not behave as atomic hydrogen, it behaves as a plasma, and in a concentration of the flow, and ones who find themselves, because they came from the same plastic of the same strength, common denominator, then they become tritium. You have to understand the full process in its entirety. And if you find out you do the Coca-Cola bottle with some copper plates, you don't get any reduction or destruction of the cap, but you use some certain materials and you see the cap destruction. And this is important. This is what we try to teach, the totality, because then it allows us to understand everything. There is no random chance. We can dictate, we can even dictate what kind of plastics we want to do. And for example, not all the plastics release H3 or CH3 or CO2, CH3, tritium at the same time, or some hydrogen atoms. The hydrogen released plasma in this condition always end up in a plasmatic condition and carries the full spectrum. Because even though you look at the neutron as a totality inside, it's the ring inside the core which creates the pressure to rotate, and you can dictate some of it. And that's why you got to use the same kind of material, the same kind of ratio, transfer. And you can even fly a Coca-Cola bottle if you understand exactly what you're doing. If you rotate it or create a rotation of the plasma inside, which can be done very easily, then you will see the bottle lifts up. I've seen it happening. I couldn't explain it now. It took me years to be able to understand it. You touch with the bottle, it feels like it's got no attachment. It's still there on the table. It's not like, you know, before when you start the process with it has no weight to it. Because now it has integrated into it some of the plasma, which is the strength of the water where it came from. I'm sure some of you who understood this should be able by next week show us some lift. Or at least effects of it. Use brass to create a condition of the any mixture which releases hydrogen. You'll see in nickel, what do you call it, or zinc, iron, or nickel, another element, to create the hydrogen. Understand, you have to create a hydrogen of the strength of the field of the planet. As I said, remember what I keep on saying. Just because it's got mustache is not your uncle. Just because you created atomic hydrogen inside with the tritium has the strength of the gravitational magnetic field hydrogen of the center of the planet. That then you have interact and it gives you position. Earth has a positioning because of its central core, because it came from the same sun. This is what you have to understand. If it's another material, if it came from another solar system, you put it here, the same structure as our Earth, it might go outside the solar system or go and sit next to the sun and still have its position. This is how electrons find their positions, and we find them in different layers and stackers in the atomic structure in the matter state. I like your housewives, the way you test things in the kitchen, but be careful the pan doesn't fly.
We'll try. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hello,
You
Mr.
do not need, sorry, 1 second. You do not need motors to create rotation. If you understand the play between what we keep on saying, gravitational magnetic field forces, you can create rotation of the plasma and it builds up. Take your time. Go back to the beginning, some videos we saw a couple of years ago, how the top layer gases of CO2 or whatever were rotating in the pot. We saw with Douglas how they could boil up. If you understood that and you can create a rotation of it, you don't need motors. There's no motor in the universe. It's the positioning and the strength field. Use a combination of the matter, dry GANs, liquid GANs, nanomaterials, and then you find out you achieve rotation very, very easy. In a way, if you look at it, you introduce what they call God particles into it, because you decide what's going to be appearing. And as they try to find their position, they feel for position, they create a rotation and you can find motion without the motors. The only thing left for me is just to come and spoon feed you to start you flying. But I think you have enough knowledge. If you take this knowledge a step further, for example, and you create enough atomic gravitational magnetic field mass in the center core of, let's say, a tumor, and you make your gravitational field slightly lower in the strength than the tumor matter, you can empty the tumor in no time. And that's all you need to do. Hydrogen GANs. You go for the structure. You need to take any disease with man, any disease, any way, shape or form, except viruses. Any disease with man has a table of 4 legs. You just need to take one leg out and the table breaks up and the disease disappears. Understand this. This for our doctors. I know some of you are listening in the background. If you understand this, this is the corner, the table of the structure of the disease in man. If you create any condition that you can take one of the legs of this table out, the table will fall. There'll be no disease because the protein to support that disease doesn't exist. And the easiest one is hydrogen. This is why when we say you can cure cancer in seconds, in the time when you understand the process, that's all it is. You create gravitational magnetic field of the GANs of the protein, which has created the cell of the cancer. Now you take a leg off, there is nothing there. And all of them have that strength. That's why they became part of the cell structure. That's why you will understand in a very, very near time, diseases which are amino acid based will not exist, be it Alzheimer's, be it cancer. This is not that we claim we can cure any cancer. It's understanding the knowledge that what we have developed and what interaction it creates. And hydrogen is the lightest one to produce. You can do the same. A table where one of the legs is missing, which is usually a hydrogen, of a given strength, you add that leg, you support it, it goes back, it finds its position in the DNA, and the genetic deformation disappears. The technology of the health of the man now has to go in understanding the plasmatic strength of the total energy spectrum of the hydrogen, carbon, or nitrogen. But don't forget, for that amino acid to be created, all the neutrons should have had a common denominator strength in gravitational or magnetical. That's why they're there together. That's why they became the cell of the skin, or they become the skin of the kidney. This is what the health knowledge seekers have to understand. And when we say you can, what you call, eradicate cancers or diseases, is now that you understand the process of the hydrogen, is to understand the totality of the knowledge. And you're getting there. And if you look at it, make the leg of the hydrogen another planet, another star destination, and the galaxy. Would you like to build it, add to it, which means you attract yourself to it, to add to it, because it sees you as addition, or you want not to be of it, of the different one, which pushes you back to a position where you want to be in another galaxy or another planet or whatever. Change the understanding the meaning, and then the rest is very easy. Any other question? I asked the doctors yesterday's teaching to join today, and I hope you understand and understood what needs to be done. You can support understanding the knowledge. This is what we had in, as I explained in a discussion in when we were in Accra conference. They were all nuclear physicists in one form or another to do with nuclear industry, most of them scientists who were there. And the problem with them was that they are nuclear, and they forgot themselves that 50 years ago they were called atomic. Now they went a little bit more, now they're nuclear, a bit more crazier. Now we've gone a bit crazier, we've gone inside the nucleus structure, which is a plasma, and they're happy with it. It means now they become a new generation of the scientists that nobody else is, so they're proud of it. They're atomic nuclear plasma physicists. And this is the evolution of the science we have to understand. Now we work with the plasma, and understanding the work of the plasma, we understand the operation of the mass, which is gravitational magnetic field strength. And then each one has its own strength, birds with birds, wolves with wolves, and everything else with each other. And it's the same applies in the strength of proportion of the gravitational magnetic field. Now, as I said, we don't teach. Now we're going more in depth. Teaching is finished. Understanding the implication and application is the prime job. Those of you who understood, listen to these teachings today. Cut out the bits which is nothing to do with the Universal Council, Pole section, or the others out, and listen to the teaching. Just cut it out and just to do with the plasma. And what we did in this first section, and now you will understand. But within hours, any of you will start showing left-hand motion. But you have to understand. You have to understand. You have a problem. Your aluminum came, or your CH3 is from this part. You created as hydrogen in a condition which is a matter. The aluminum was folded and rolled, and it came from South America. And you want to fly in New York or in the Philippines, God help you. Do we understand, Vernie? Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Keshe.
Do you see the light? Do you understand what is the implication of it?
Hello, Bernie. I think he's.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
He's asked if you understand the implications of it.
He has, most probably. Any other question?
Well, we did have several people sort of lined up. A couple of viewers have just come in, including Heather Bryant, and also Colleen Black had a question before. I'm not sure if that got answered or not. And we also have Amos Beck and Jalel, who also had their hands up and were brought in as panelists. But we are getting on. How are you doing, Mr. Keshe? It's been...
No problem. It's only not much, 12:30-ish.
Okay.
We can go for the half of that.
Okay, if one of those people would like to enter into the conversation here, that would be good. Heather mentioned...
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody. Sorry to jump in. I am at work, and every time I'm searching for a little space and to join in. I have a.
Could you say your name first? Sorry.
Sorry, Rick. I am Jalal from Iraq.
Thank you.
And thank you. And the question is, one of your teaching, you said you are clear about the flying saucers. One is solid state, one is okay, solid, and it goes to the light speed, and one is it's invisible. So that means they are in different levels. With your teaching, what we are learning now, is it for which level we are going?
It depends on what you want.
Oh, I want to go to space. Really.
Yes, you go to space, but you have to understand the interaction of different hydrogen strength is the source of your shielding too. You have to start playing with the spectrum of the hydrogen on what they call neutron strength, because the same as I said, different hydrogens have different neutron strength center. In concentration of one or the other in different levels, you can create your own shielding. And the same.
And is it goes to the solid state? Exactly the solid state?
If you want to, yes. If you want to, yes. Hopefully we'll show you this in the next few weeks. We will show you the soft touch, hopefully next week, from one of the research centers. We're still trying to develop other things with it. We try not to go too far with it. I've seen some people setting up different structures in respect to combination and position of different maglev systems and coils, and they're achieving some, and they don't understand it because they use a confined space. Thank you very much.
Okay, Heather says she has a chart that she's done on the maglev comparisons to ask if this is how we control the neutron.
Let's have a look.
Maybe you could present that, Heather.
Hello. Okay. Let me make sure that it's on my screen correctly there. And see if I've done this right. Desktop. Okay. Well, I was looking at the diagram that you were drawing, and some things are trying to come together in my mind here. I hope I speak them correctly to get some direction on that, you know, from different areas of study, including this one. The subject of the neutron being the common denominator in creating whatever we want to create. And the concept of being neutral and being in a neutral state in myself, you know, as in being at peace, being somebody that's in a space of non-judgment, non-duality, whatever you want to call that. And so in that light, one of my things that's coming together is like, how would we start with that neutral neutron and then direct it into what it is we want to create. And I'm aware that, you know, universal wise, that maybe that's not necessarily my job, is to direct how things are being made. If I can be in a neutral state and I can bring forward the template of what I want to create, then the information comes together to create that. So let's see, this is, I've been trying to put this together for the last year or so as concepts come up, but I'm thinking that maybe we use some of these concepts in directing that neutral energy into which element we want it to create. Like you said, like if it's going to be gold or carbon or uranium or whatever. And so these are just like the different concepts using the magnetical and gravitational principles.
I tell you what to do. Take the right-hand side picture, the blue one, and superimpose it on the orange one on the left.
Okay.
If you can do it. And then you find at certain point the field strength are exactly the same, depending on the openness of this diagram you have made or in the strength path. And you find that's the position when the entity manifests itself as a matter state of that element. You see, you have separated them. Now, if you're going to show such a thing, you have bring them together, because that's a reality. This is a separation of understanding. Just if you can take a screenshot of the whole thing and cut out the orange one and superimpose the blue one on the orange, then you'll see at one point only, or one area is where they match. And then you find the matter state, the strength of it. If you can transparent it and then superimpose it, then you understand how it is.
Let's see. Oops. Let me get rid of that one for the moment. I don't know if I can do that on this little program here. I have to use something a little more fancy to do that. Put it back in a Word program. But I see what you mean, that they're two sides of the same coin and they meet in the middle.
Yeah, there is somewhere they are in balance. That's where the gravitational and the magnetical is of the same strength. And
that's the neutron when it's
that's a matter state manifestation of to the strength of the field of the environment. Because where you made it black has itself a field strength. So it dictates the compression of that spring. You understand? You're looking at the one-dimensional. Now, if you look at the black background as another field which has allowed these two fields to exist within, if you change that environment, the gap between the spirals will change. And you find out the gravitational magnetic field according to if it's taking more or giving more, then it dates if you can see the material and your magnetical gravitational field the strength or not. So you are visible and then you are invisible if you change yours. This is why when you go to space, you don't lose the man at all, you lose a part of it. As the body of the man is made of the Gans states, so we evolve into the strength of the fields in totality of the matter which we come to. It's very much, you cannot make what you call it, a condition that half, unless you go into a condition where there is a boundary of two different fields, you're still in part, which is in one part, let's say from your chest up, you're in different strength than the bottom part. It doesn't mean that the top part is destroyed. It's still there, but it manifests itself in that strength because it rotates, or it not rotates, it evolves into that strength field, the strength of all the elements inside it. You might, let's say, see the top half pinkish, the bottom half greenish. Or you'll not be able to see a lot of it at all, but you're still there because that part has evolved. And how they connect to each other through central mass of the neutron, they stay intact.
Okay, so am I hearing that, you know, once...
I don't know what you're hearing. It's what you're thinking matters.
Okay, what I'm thinking is, so if as I'm in that neutral state that encompasses all of these different things, I can dictate where to go from there, utilizing some of these principles?
You can use all of it. Why not? I saw a beautiful thing you made yesterday in the doctor's teaching. That is, if you understand this and you amalgamate this with that, you will understand, you achieve a lot. Because you can dictate the spiral through the ganses. but the spacing them and different mixture, you can do the same. But now, if you understood what we thought with the hydrogen today, how you can create it, you find the position of the different tubes of the same hydrogen will give you the structure of what you want to take or give into an element in the body of the man.
Have to sit with that one.
Let's see you next week with a new empty pipes, but be able to do a lot of things. Don't forget you have to nano coat your pipes.
Yeah, I usually do. I soak them in caustic before I start playing with them.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Does it make a difference with the pipes are silicone or vinyl?
No, because if all the pipes are the same, you get the same kind of effects. If they are different, then you have to find out the, what do you call it, the strength of what it allows to come out.
Okay, I thought silicone might work better with the plasma since it's...
It just depends what you're using it for, what field you're allowed to come out, and what you're absorbing. The way you do your pipes with the 3, yeah, you got to understand the one on either side, depending on how you loaded it, is the entry of the field into that zone, and the other one on the other side, the third one, is the exit or the entry of to the zone next. And then if you can link the zones to each other, because you had 3 or like 2 zones on the same platform, so you have to understand, are you giving from one, are you taking from the other? And how space between the 2 sets or 3 sets are to receive or to give. But now you work in a tubal magnetic field gravitational, where I showed in the bed yesterday. You're going very much in the right direction. Now it's just retuning and refining and understanding everything matters. You cannot ignore it and say just because it's there. Even whatever you do in the matter state affects in the conditioned plasma, because it creates not only absorption of itself, but the positioning as well.
Yes, a lot of new concepts to play with.
You're in the very right. I enjoyed seeing your creation yesterday. What you showed us is very interesting. But now you have to understand the way you put your tubes. One becomes gravitational, one becomes magnetical in respect to its environment, and exact to the next set. You understand?
Should I put it on the screen so that I can put together what you're saying with?
We can discuss it in the teaching, in the medical teaching. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, indeed.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
There. Shall we call it a day? It's nearly 20 to 1.
Okay, sure, Mr. Keshe. Whatever you like, and it is quite a few hours that have been put in here at this point in time. Okay, any other questions? Please, people can hold them over till next week, or try to put together, if you have a presentation, then put together a PDF or some other presentation and send it in so we can review it before. Go ahead, sir.
Please, if you've done any tests on any aspects and you've seen changes, go to the testimonial and post it in there, Keshe Foundation testimonial. We now have put 2 people just to collect all the testimonials across the internet from different languages, different places, different applications. And we try to centralize and the whole structure is, that was the wish of, or request of the wish of one of the participants last week from the Earth Council, that we can bring everything together. And so we've organized it to be done. We put people in from the Keshe Foundation group to start gathering all these, that the knowledge can be shared as no matter in what language, as testimonials, that others can use it as they see. Thank you very much for today.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe. There's lots of new testimonials and new personal blueprint replications as well have been put through, and more to come. Okay, so we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you, everybody, for attending the 144th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 3rd, 2016. And thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you, people on live stream. I see you've had a very active chat there and helping each other. And thanks to everybody else for presenting things. And a big thanks, of course, to Mr. Keshe for all the hard work he puts in. Okay, I'll end the live stream.
The people of the, what I call Air Forces, see how crucial game they'll play in the spread of knowledge. They become a front to space technology and, in a way, with the military. And at the same time, the other parts of the military are realizing what crucial game they have to play. This is the job of the Earth Council, to bring the armies to become the peace armies in spreading the knowledge and the technology, and bring in the comfort for man. At this moment of time, we have to understand where the space technology is going. I, yesterday in the teachings with the doctors, explained something very simple. The Innovation Center has been informed of the development. They are playing with it. They start playing with it. But as we promised, we are pushing for the spaceship and a space left. Maybe next week we show you a new dimension. We hopefully be able to show you the what we call physical tangibility of the spaceship. We try to line up that you can ask questions once the system is running, that how it is, the way it is. You can feel, or at least be able to talk to the people that they have developed the, what I call the plasma cap, or the first stage plasma condition of the spaceship. On the other hand, as we go back to the beginning of the teachings, we have to realize a lot of things. A recap will bring us where we want to be. If you go back to the very beginning of the teachings, early teachings, go back before the teaching started. Go back to the first time most of you came across the word keshetechnology.com. If you remember, and it still is on the internet somewhere, there was a Coca-Cola bottle. A lot of people looked for energy out of Coca-Cola bottle, but the energy of the Coca-Cola bottle never was understood fully by those who looked for it in a different way. If you go back to the beginning of the teaching of how everybody was looking for this Keshe secret liquid, or this plasma liquid, which now you all know is caustic. The whole commotion was on how it creates energy, how it creates nanomaterial. But as we said in most of the teachings, this integration of the screw end of the plastic was the target. Because in the screw end, can I share a screen, please? In the screw end,
go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, okay, I'm there. I'm going to expand this. In the screw end of the Coca-Cola bottle, if you remember, I'm not a very good drawer. This end has a specific characteristics that when you put the electrodes in and you put the caustic in, due to the current which these electrodes were extracting, they allowed a creation of a condition that only most of the, what we call the atomic structure of this part, because of a specific condition on certain bottles, could disintegrate, to open up. And in a way, it released what we were looking for as atomic hydrogen. In many of the teachings I explained, when a man understands the use and be able to create tritium, then man will be able to gather the full knowledge.
Please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today.
Welcome everyone to the 144th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And once again, we're gathered here to listen to the teachings of Mr. Keshe, as well as other knowledge seekers from around the world. And I thought it's kind of auspicious that today is the 144th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, which 144 is kind of a special number in terms of it's used in the numbers of coils in the MagRav devices and some of the other calculations with the Keshe Foundation. And we've seen a new agriculture video that was presented today, as well as another highlight that's come out recently. So I think we're ready now to hear from Mr. Keshe. I believe he's available there. Are you ready, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, thank you very much, Rick. Hello, good morning to you, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these teachings. As we all witnessed last Thursday public teaching, we saw the establishment of what we call the Earth Council to replace the world governments. In the process of past week, we have seen some positive indication from some governments in the move and what is being put, that at least the first step has been taken in that direction. We have to see how the responses gather in the coming time. And we see how the Earth Council will represent itself in the coming weeks in taking what we call leadership to set a new way of thinking of what we call using the Keshe Foundation knowledge for bringing peace and bringing, in a way, equality to mankind. Not only to mankind, but to the whole planet, be it what we call the vertical people or the submerged people, what we call the fishes. And in the coming time, in respect to what we ignored above us between the atmosphere of this planet, the lifestyle which we have been ignorant of, but it's been as part of our life. In so many ways, we wait to see if we hear from Alex as the African representation of the Earth Council. If he is there or he's in the background, we promote him to speak on behalf of African nations, or what we call making Africa as one continent. Do you see him behind? Because he was upgrading his system to be able to have a clear line for this morning. Rick?
Not seeing him yet. Do you see him any sign there, Vince? Looking at the viewers too.
Okay, he'll try to join us later on today. He sent me a small text that he could not make it, but this week he'll try to be there because he's in what we call in Nigeria, and they have some communication problems there. Somebody said, what are we going to do with this? Not much. This is going to be a pattern of life from now on as we are expanding into universal community. All members of the board councils, or the 3 councils, in the core team, the Universal Council or the Earth Council. The Earth has become a small place for humanity. We expand into a space, and not everyone will be reachable at all times. This is the beauty of the new technology. On the other hand, we have announced a startup of what we call the spaceship program for motions. At the moment, we are online negotiating with 2 governments within the next, hopefully, week, 2 weeks. We will see which position will give advantages for a more mass teaching aid in the structure of a government to do, and we announce where for the motions to attend. It's just a political, diplomatic move. It's out of the hand of the Keshe Foundation. You got to realize that by training the motions into space technology, we will come into the direction that more or less there is no borders, and some governments will have a problem with this. National, what you call borders, being more or less eliminated with the space technology, it creates a lot of problem for the leaders. Hopefully, within the next week or so, we will complete this transition time, and we gather what we call the motions in one place of teaching. We got to understand that the next 3 months of teaching, once they arrive, becomes part of the ethos of the work for the future teachings. Exactly the same as what we did with the Spaceship Institute teachings for 3 months of solid teaching, which I did in Trani, has become the basis of the teaching for the students in the science part of the Spaceship Institute. The whole process needs understanding that we can achieve collaboration with the governments. I have a very good idea about the site. I've visited the test site very recently, and for us it's time to prepare it, or once we agree with both governments, either governments, to announce the position. Maybe we do half in one nation and half the other place. We got to see how it plays in the next couple of weeks, and then, as we said, in the autumn of 2016, we bring it together. The process of the teaching is very rapid and very, very comprehensive. We have achieved the support of governments in this process, and this has been very big move for governments to understand there is a need, collaboration, unconditional, in the new space era. The spaceship technology should bring mankind together, and in that process should show and set the pattern with the support of the Earth Council, how they want it to be developed. The Earth Council becomes what we call the path setter for the rest of the humanity, how the new spaceship technology has to be used by all the nations. So we have to set the standards. This is what we expect they use for this reason. For that reason, has to be this way. In a way, as we've done, and we showed it in the operation in the conference in Ghana, we brought the science and military on the same table, and they both understood that military becomes part of the spreading the knowledge and the new technology, and are proud to be part of it. This is the fantastic part of the whole operation. That we see, military sees a new, what I call line of action for them. They understand very clearly, especially going to space. Today, we're going to teach you how to create tritium, how to produce it, and how to use it. And first of all, you have to understand what it means having tritium in your hand. Tritium in nuclear reactors is the curse of the technology because of the radiations which it creates. Tritium as a GANS plasma is a gift to the universe. It depends how you handle, how you play. There is a difference between hydrogen 3 atoms of hydrogen and what I call tritium. You can change combination of hydrogen 3 into a tritium if you understand the process. One of the reasons Keshe Foundation was made a terrorist organization by the Belgian government, because they could not understand how easily we were creating nanomaterials, and they said using radiation and using plutonium is because of the presence of tritium. Tritium releases huge amount of energy. This is why we got involved with TEPCO. The existence of tritium, which then we show them how to convert it into gold, and then we saw subsequently monoatomic gold, is the structure of the lead of the cola bottle. Yes, we produce field strength at the gamma level, which is not harmful to man because it's in a plasmatic condition, through the lid of the Coca-Cola bottle. We are an expert in it. I'm a nuclear physicist. I know how to hide my game. And a lot of you followed it. US government, Russian government, Chinese government have spent billions trying to reach atomic hydrogen to use for atomic bomb, to use for advancement of whatever was the clandestine activities which we've seen it. But no one up to now ever considered production of the tritium. The compression on certain plastics of certain products allows the creation of tritium. It's very, very, very strange. The way CH bond of the plastic works allows you these things. If you're a chemist, you understand. As a nuclear physicist, I've been trained totally by my masters in nuclear industry in university to understand the depth of the application of interaction of the inner sanctums of an atom. That's why I'm a nuclear physicist. And for that reason, I looked into the depth of how I can have what is the essence of the creation, which is a neutron, and free it to use it, but hide it in a magic show. In line with the production of release of the disintegration of the plastic, I do create tritium, but in a plasmatic condition. If you go back to some of the recordings of the Keshe Foundation, I explained this very, very clearly. When you had the Coca-Cola bottle, and some of you followed it, I made pipes, and I gathered, I showed to the students, I gathered how to collect tritium. But I called it hydrogen.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop,